This is Agriculture Today, and I'm Shelby Varner with the K-State Radio Network. Beginning the show today is Todd Barrows, Kansas Farm Service Agency Chief Program Specialist, as he reminds producers about the Livestock Indemnity Program, American Relief Act Bill, ARC, and PLC. Justin Waggoner, K-State Extension Beef Cattle Specialist, adds to today's show as he previews the upcoming K-State Cattlemen's Day. He discusses the topics and what he hopes attendees get from the day. The Beef Cattle Institute's Brad White, Phillip Lancaster, and Bob Larson wrap the show for today with part of their Cattle Chat podcast, where they explained mineral need changes during the calendar year and cattle cycle. That and more is coming up ahead. You're tuned in to Agriculture Today, and we start our Wednesday show with an update from the Kansas Farm Service Agency. From Kansas Farm Service Agency, Chief Program Specialist Todd Barrows. Todd, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, and good day, Shelby, and to all of our listeners out there. But to start off today, I just want to take a brief moment to just give a shout out first and foremost with this Arctic cold front and these snowy conditions that we're seeing across our state today and this week, that our hearts go out and we are thinking about our producers out there, and just to remind them, as always, but for sure in this type of weather, safety first. Please be careful out there. It is bitterly cold and conditions are not nice. Our thoughts especially go out to those livestock producers that are battling these extremely cold conditions to take care of their animals. Hopefully no one will experience death loss from this Arctic cold front that as it pushes through this week. However, if unfortunately loss would happen, make sure to document that, those losses when they occur. If you can, always pictures help. And then as soon as things warm up and time allows, we encourage those producers to reach out to their local service centers as soon as possible while everything is still fresh in their mind, and report those livestock losses. And our offices will be willing to help them complete the necessary applications to get them benefits as needed. What program are sometimes livestock losses funneled into? Yeah, Shelby, great question. Just a reminder there, we're talking about the Livestock Indemnity Program, or you might hear it referred to more commonly as the LIP program. And again, that does cover losses that occur due to extreme weather events. And so, again, we hope that you make it through the storm with little or no interruption, but obviously temperatures are cold, so. Something you also mentioned that you've been hearing quite a bit of chatter about the American Relief Act bill, and if or when will producers receive any payments from that? What can you really tell our listeners and farmers and ranchers? That also is a very good question, and we've been getting calls, it seems like almost on a daily basis, from producers across our state inquiring as to, number one, if they will be receiving a payment, and number two, when can we expect that payment, or when can they expect that payment? And what I can tell you as of now, we have not received any word that would indicate or give any indication that the current administration will not follow through and endorse these payments from being issued. Within FSA, I have no indication yet of a dollar amount at this time as far as payment value per planted acre. We do know these first payments will be calculated based on covered commodities reported on your 2024 program year report of acres. I would suspect payment will be issued close to and around that March 21st date, which would be 90 days from when the bill was signed into law as required by the statutory law. I know K-State Ag Manager has published some preliminary values per acre based on their estimates, And I do not believe that there will be any actual sign up to this program from the standpoint that since it's using your 2024 acres report, planted acres, FSA already has that information on file. And so I believe it's one of those programs that when they're ready to make the payment, it will be a couple-day notification and those payments will just be issued.
And if people are wanting to find out more information from K-State's Ag Manager, they can always find that at AgManager.info. And Todd, currently ARC and PLC sign-up is going on, and how is it going?
Yeah, I just looked this morning. We're setting at about 20% enrollment for our state, so we got quite a ways to go, but we do have a good start on it. And many producers are coming in and asking questions and making sure they have their bases covered. As you know, the past Farm Bill was extended for another year, so FSA is currently enrolling those producers in what we consider the 2025 program year ARC PLC program. That deadline for enrollment and making that election is April the 15th of 2025, so it'll be here before you know it. Again, if I can put in a plug for Ag Manager and K-State economist Robin Reed and her team, they did a great job last week on an ag webinar that outlined price and market strategies. And so I would encourage producers, if they have questions, to go back and review those to help make their decisions as far as election options. But I do have a couple points I would like to just put out there for our producers to think about. Again, this is nothing new as far as ARC County and PLC. Just remember, ARC County has two components. It's an average market price and county average harvest yield, looking at the historical revenue guarantee versus actual revenue received. And so the program is designed to provide coverage for shallow revenue losses. Whereas the PLC price loss coverage program is strictly based on market price decline. Therefore, it's providing a higher coverage in a steep commodity price decline or price loss situation. However, it does not kick in and generate a payment as promptly as what ARC County is. So in these cases, producers that are wanting that a steep price loss decline may also want to consider looking at an SCO coverage policy through the Risk Management Agency or RMA crop insurance for that shallow loss protection. If producers are wanting that to go that route with PLC and an SCO coverage for shallow loss, then our advice is make sure they reach out and communicate that with their crop insurance agent as soon as possible. As in the past, the SCO coverage deadline has been March the 15th. We have been told that RMA will extend out that SCO till the April 15th deadline to match FSA's enrollment. However, just to double check, it is best that you check with your crop insurance agent by March the 15th. And finally, I want to put out a plug out there. Producers, please enroll as soon as possible. If you have a 90, 95% assurance on how you're going to enroll, go ahead and get that taken care of. Do not wait till the last week or the last few days, and go ahead and enroll now. We understand if something happens in the market, we have a strong shift in grain market prices or indication that market prices are going to change, you can come in and change your election up to April the 15th. We understand that. We're willing to work with you, but for the most part, if you know how you think you're going to enroll, go ahead and let's get that taken care of, because we do have other programs coming later this spring that will tie up staff members this time.
And Todd, what else is happening currently with the Kansas Farm Service Agency, or things you'd like to remind farmers about?
As we wrap up today, Shelby, it's always important. If you do have questions, just go ahead and ask your local service centers. They can provide answers to our programs and assist with applying benefits to make sure you're covered. Don't sit there and wonder, and don't guess. Please ask our service centers those questions that you might have. We are in constant communication with our offices across the state on a weekly basis. So as things changes, we're bringing them up to date. FSA is committed to work beside our producers, ensuring that they receive that much needed financial assistance as these profit margins grow narrower and narrow, and we understand the importance of those program benefits. And we're here to help and assist when we can.
Todd, can you remind us what that ARC and PLC deadline is for the Farm Service Agency?
Yeah, once again, the deadline for ARC PLC enrollment is April 15th. And again, if you are going to go the SCO coverage, FSA has been told that deadline will be extended April 15th to match our deadline. But just to be sure, make sure that you're covered, reach out to your crop insurance agent as well.
And as always, where can people find out more information about these programs and other programs with the Farm Service Agency?
Always, you can reach out to your local service center or reach out online at USDA.gov. And yes, there's a wealth of information out there as far as fact sheets, program documents, and stuff available for you.
Todd, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
All right. Thank you very much, Shelby, for having us. And again, to all the producers out there, it's bitterly cold, snow. Please be careful, be safe, and we hope to talk to you soon.
That was Kansas Farm Service Agency Chief Program Specialist Todd Barrows. We're cutting to a short break now on Agriculture Today, but we'll be right back. You're tuned in to Agriculture Today, and we continue our Wednesday show talking about the 112th Cattlemen's Day with K-State Extension Beef Cattle Specialist Justin Waggoner. Justin, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Shelby.
Justin, today, as we talk about Cattlemen's Day, it's important to note something that will be happening the night before Stockmen's Dinner.
Yeah, so we have our Stockman's Dinner, and really the whole time period around Cattlemen's Day, starting Thursday evening with the Stockman's Dinner and wrapping up Friday afternoon with the Legacy Bull Sale with Cattlemen's Day, in between on Friday. It's really a pretty jam-packed schedule, I think, for folks here that want to come to K-State and take part in those events.
And who is getting recognized at Stockman's Dinner?
Yeah, so this year our honoree is Rich Porter.
And this Stockman Dinner happening March 6th, starting at 6 p.m. with a social, 6:15 welcome, and then 6:30 dinner. And after that night, lead right into Cattlemen's Day. And Justin, what is Cattlemen's Day?
Yeah, so our 2025 Cattlemen's Day, this is going to be a little bit of a change from previous years. So, as many of your listeners are aware, there's quite a bit of construction going on campus right now. A lot of excitement with some building new facilities around Weber Arena and some of the construction there. But, because of that, we had to shift our Cattlemen's Day program. And so this year we're going to be at the National Guard Armory, which is on the east side of Manhattan. The address is 721 Levy Drive. So that is, really our first change is if you're coming to, Weber Hall and expecting Cattlemen's Day, we're actually going to be on the other side of town this year.
And starting off Cattlemen's Day where people can walk through a trade show?
Yeah, so one of the hallmarks of our Cattlemen's Day has always been the industry trade show, where we get quite a few representatives from the allied industry there. Now, this is a great opportunity for the industry as well as the students to interact with each other. And so just a really nice opportunity. We'll start that in the morning. Our sessions actually get started about 9 o'clock in that morning. And so our first one up, we're going to have a welcome from Mike Day, our ASI K-State department head. Then we're going to go right into our educational sessions. And so this year we have kind of an exciting lineup. We were fortunate to get a number of these speakers to commit to Cattlemen's Day early. And so, it's just a great opportunity. A lot of times, we don't get all the speakers that we request. And this was one of the year where we're really folks outside of K-State that I think are our producers are really going to enjoy listening to. And so the first one of those is Allison Van Inneman. She's a PhD and extension specialist with UC Davis in California, and she's really works in the area of animal biotechnology and genomics. And so she's going to be discussing genetic modifications in livestock. Then we'll follow that up with one of our most popular sessions at Cattlemen's Day is our Beef Industry Economic Outlook with Dr. Glenn Tonser of K-State. Then wrapping up our morning program, we're going to have Dr. Erin Beyer, and Erin is our fairly new, I would say, extension meat specialist, and so she's going to be discussing meat labels and some of the changes there, as well as some consumer trends. And then, Shelby, I know this is always your favorite thing, but lunch, right? And so our lunch, once again, is sponsored by U.S. Premium Beef. And so we're very fortunate that they sponsor Cattlemen's Day and are able to provide that for us as well. Then at 1:30, we will begin our afternoon session. And so this year we have our afternoon session being led off by Dr. Dale Warner. And Dale is an endowed professor at Texas Tech University. And so he's going to be discussing some of the changes that are, really coming at producers in terms of the carcass side of things and talking about some yield grade technology and so some new technologies that we'll likely see implemented into the packing industry here in the very near future that he's really been a part of researching and developing Texas Tech with his work down there. And then our final session this year is actually going to be featuring our ASI graduate students. And this is our ASI research update. And so, one of the limitations with changing facilities and doing some different things is we're not going to be able to have our traditional poster session that we've always had that gave our graduate students the opportunity to share their work with producers in the industry as well. And so we replaced that poster session with this ASI research update. So we're over the course of an hour, we're going to have short presentations by a few of our ASI graduate students that are working in the area of beef and just some of the related segments, and they're going to get the opportunity to very briefly share their work that they've been doing at K-State. And so this will really give us an opportunity to highlight the work of our graduate students and our research program in a little bit different way than what we normally would do. And then our Friday is wrapped up, of course, at 4 p.m. with the legacy sale that starts at the Stanley Stout Center. So you can see this is a very full program for us this year, Shelby.
And with that smoked brisket at lunch, circling back to it, also getting a nice dessert along with it?
Yeah, we can't have Cattlemen's Day or really any K-State event, in my opinion, without some Call Hall ice cream. And so our Call Hall ice cream is sponsored by Hoovie Pharma. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but our morning program is actually going to be sponsored by Lallemand Animal Nutrition. What
do you really hope participants get out of coming to Cattlemen's Day?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, we all know our time is valuable. And so I think one of the great things about Cattlemen's Day is it's really kind of a one-stop shop, right? Not only can you interact with the industry folks during the trade show, but also, you get to attend those educational sessions. And really it's about, kind of reaching outside and gaining new knowledge. And so, continuing education, if you're in any industry, is a really big deal, and I think that's also true of beef cattle producers. And so you want to think about Cattlemen's Day in another light. Not only is it an opportunity for us to share what we've been doing, but it's also an opportunity for producers and continuing education and really to hear speakers, this year from a couple of different institutions, as well as kind of get those more recent updates and get to know some of our faculty, I think, on the K-State beef team as well.
Who do you really recommend take the time to attend Cattlemen's Day?
So I think to take the time out, I think it's anyone who's involved with the beef industry. I think we've got something on the program for really everyone, regardless of if you're in the cow-calf segment, if you're in the stocker segment, even as well as the feed yard segment, as we think about some of the yield grade technologies and just, carcass and as well as, the packer side of the industry. Those are all going to be represented on our program this year. And I think even, there might be some interest by consumers out there in terms of, Dr. Byers' presentation on unwrapping meat labels and what some of those things mean and, what are consumers really looking for in the retail case. I think this program really has something for a variety of folks that are out there. I'd also encourage students at K-State as well to attend the program, even if they're not involved in, they may not be an ASI major, they may not be directly involved with the livestock industry, but there's really just a great opportunity to interact with the industry and producers.
Are there any continuing education credits available?
Yeah, that's a good question. So occasionally there have been some continuing education credits available through Cattlemen's Day, through ARPAS, which is just the American Registry of Professional Animal Scientists. And so typically we get Cattlemen's Day approved for those. That certainly may not apply to all of our producers, but that's really the only continuing education credits per se that we would certainly offer for Cattlemen's Day.
What is registration for Cattlemen's Day?
Yeah, so we actually have kind of a tiered approach here. So obviously, if you register on or before February 21st, the cost for registration is $25. After that date, we increase the cost to $35. There is no charge for students if they are registered by February 21st. There is a QR code on most of the flyers that's available on the website as well. So we do have online registration that is available, and even the students, they do need to register that just so we can make appropriate plans for our lunch count, et cetera, just all of those type of things.
Is registration available at the door?
Yes, we do offer registration available at the door, although we would much prefer that you register in advance. So,
what is that website?
So www.ksubeef.org is essentially where you can find all things K-State beef related, including Cattlemen's Day. And so there should be a link along the left side or along the left banner of that main home site that'll reference Cattlemen's Day.
For Cattlemen's Day happening March 7th, wanting to just make the reminder, we mentioned it once, but it is a big change. Our location has changed from Weber Arena.
Yes. So this year we will be at the National Guard Armory, which is on the east side of Manhattan. The address there is 721 Levy Drive in Manhattan, Kansas. And I believe if you go to the website as well, very shortly, we're going to have a map that, kind of orientates folks to the new location that we're going to be at this year.
Justin, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thanks, Shelby.
That was K-State Extension beef cattle specialist Justin Waggoner. The 54th Stockmen's Dinner is happening Thursday, March 6th. It is to honor Richard Porter and will be held at the Stanley Stout Center. They do ask that you RSVP by February 20th, and cost to attend is $50. If you would like to find out more information, you can do so by going to www.asi.k-state.edu/Stockmen's Dinner. After Stockmen's Dinner on the next day, Friday, March 7th, we have K-State's Cattlemen's Day. An important thing to note that we mentioned in today's show is that it is happening at the National Guard Armory and not Weber Arena. This day kicks off at 8 a.m. and will wrap around 4. If you're interested in attending, the cost of registration, if done on or before February 21st, is $25. Late registration is $35. If you are a student and are looking to attend, there is no charge if you're registered by February 21st. You can find out more information about the 2025 Cattlemen's Day by going to ksubeef.org. I will link all this information in today's show notes on agtoday.net. We're cutting to a short break now on Agriculture Today, but stick around because we have more for you after the break. You're tuned in to Agriculture Today, and we conclude our Wednesday show with part of the Beef Cattle Institute's Cattle Chat podcast with Brad White, Bob Larson, and Phillip Lancaster.
I've had a couple questions relative to mineral, and Phillip, I'm going to turn to you first. And this question is about, do I need a different mineral program at different times of year? And the times of year, I'm going to frame in two ways. One, production cycle timing, when is she calving, and two, actual seasonal time of year. And they also added in, do we need more vitamin A and E or cobalt at certain times of year, magnesium? But I'll let you kind of say, how much do I need to change my mineral program?
Well, you're going to need to make some changes throughout the year. So the easy one you brought up, magnesium, is the first thing you think about. We think about grass tetany for lactating cows early in the spring on that spring flush of grass, because that spring flush of grass has very low magnesium and very high potassium. And that potassium antagonizes absorption of the magnesium, and so it's compounded there, and that cow is putting a lot of magnesium in the milk. So her magnesium requirement goes up, and her ability to absorb magnesium from the diet is decreased. And so it's a issue that we need to handle by adjusting our mineral supplement to provide more magnesium.
So follow-up question on that, and Bob, you may be able to answer it, is, so he mentioned she's lactating and I have the flush of grass. What if I have fall calving cows and I have the spring flush of grass? Do I need to even worry about adding magnesium?
Much less so. I would... Typically, that is not a problem on cows that aren't lactating. Every once in a while, I'll see something odd that kind of proves the exception proves the rule, but basically no. And the other one is some different, and I'll ask Phillip about this, native grasses such as warm season range grant pasture versus brome, fescue, the cool season grasses. There's a difference there too, right? I mean, much more monoculture grasses or pastures versus my native pastures.
Yeah, those cool season forages tend to have a higher risk of grass tetany than warm season forages do. So that helps you kind of adjust. You probably want to have a high mag mineral out there, just kind of a little bit of an insurance policy to some degree, but the risk is not as high.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. So
from another standpoint there on his question, from a vitamin A and E standpoint, yeah, they are important prior to calving because they're important for reproduction. They're important to get good levels of those vitamins in the calf and in the colostrum when the calf is born. But I guess from a management perspective, I don't necessarily think about, well, I changed my mineral to add more vitamin A and E at that point. I have that same level of vitamin A and E throughout the winter feeding period in my mineral.
And again, that's a lot of times tied to green, lush grass, adequate levels. It's when we're supplementing dormant, either hay or dormant standing forage, that we really worry about some of those A, D, and E issues.
So if I'm adjusting my mineral program, what I'm hearing is I need to take into account both production cycle and season of the year. And there may be only one or two adjustments, or do I need to change this monthly?
I think cows are pretty tough in that we can have maybe a couple of different mineral programs throughout the year, but we're not changing frequently.
So one for growing grass and lactating cows and one for the rest of the year is fine?
Yeah. I make an adjustment just for specific situations is what I'm doing. We don't need to be changing our mineral program, like you said, every month or even every season. And you mentioned season. I would say it's more of what the forage is going to provide from a mineral and vitamin standpoint as opposed to season. Now, sometimes that goes hand in hand with season, but in the case of like hay or if we have a drought, then I need to make some adjustments because the vitamin and mineral content of the hay would be different or the grazed forage would be different.
So I may have to define season as hay feeding season, rapid grass growth season, and low grass growth season, right? So there may be 2 or 3 seasons there. And then depending on how that aligns with the production cycle would be the adjustments I would make.
Once again, that was part of the Beef Cattle Institute's Cattle Chat podcast. That's all we have for you today on Agriculture Today, but we'll be back with more for you tomorrow.